Welcome back once again, or for the first time, to My Combat Channel News. I'm the Yak Man, Ryan Yacovetti, sitting next to
Fabiano, the king of armbar.
Sounds like he said that before. You can count on him saying it again. Welcome to the show. We have a great show. We're going to talk about things encompassed under breaking borders, breaking feet, but not breaking rules. We start first with the fastest growing sport in the world. Once again, breaking borders, expanding into a new part of the world, and not the only ones there. Of course, I'm talking about UFC now going with The Ultimate Fighter to India. And who else is there?
Guess who is available in India already? My Combat Channel. My Combat Channel is a full channel in India. We broke that deal. International deal was the first one we did, and we are available in India to 1.2 million population.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's a lot of people, 1.2 billion. Now, the UFC went there with The Ultimate Fighter. Obviously, again, the sport's growing all over the world. But what was the cause for My Combat Channel and the UFC to go into a market like that where the sport still may be relatively new in their backyard, even though they probably have a high sense of awareness of it?
The numbers, the population is, 1.2 is definitely, very attractive for everybody. And again, the sport's growing over there. They have a small organization that does very well, like a very large follow. So it's a smart decision for UFC, a smart decision for us.
Right. And then for the local fans too and fighters in that area, there will be now created the exported American dream of going up from being in the local cards like we do in the States, fighting regionally, they're amateur or pro, and excelling up into the UFC. It's the fighter's dream here. You can imagine could be the very same thing there. The broadcast team, interesting enough, I guess they were looking for broadcasters and commentators for that, and apparently somebody not too far away auditioned.
I did, my friend.
Yeah, and how did that go?
It's like, welcome to UFC India.
Whoa.
In the red corner, you have Abdu. On the blue corner, we got Goop Stensinger. Start the fight, my friends.
You didn't do that stereotypical accent.
I did.
And how did that go?
I'm still waiting.
I'm
still waiting. They say they're gonna call back. Yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling that I give my number wrong because they didn't call me back.
Because they should have called.
Yeah, I'm gonna send him an email and ask about.
Write your senator and tell them Fabiano should not be stacking accents on top of accents. That's hilarious. Hopefully they give you a call.
If not, I go back to 7-Eleven.
Oh, there you go. So now we move on to something. You think you can't go that far outside the box after hearing that, but we actually do. We're going to push the boundaries just a little bit more. We got a hold of a video, all right? A lot of UFC fighters getting hurt, main cards collapsing. So Dana White, outside the box now, doing what has never been done before, unprecedented, desperate measures.
They need help. They need a special help.
Supernatural help.
To keep all the fighters healthy and be able to do the main event.
I'm told if you look in the back, you can see him, Dana, walking by.
It's not that hard to find Dana because Dana is kind of white and everybody else there is kind of a little more darker than him. So if you keep your eyes on, oh my God, that video is very fast. But anyway, we're talking about that because guess what? My boy, Rampage Jackson, is out of UFC 153. I'm so mad about that. I was ready to go to Brazil. I was supposed to be he's supposed to be his last fight in UFC, and guess what? I was going to be in his corner.
You were going to corner him?
Yeah, I was going to corner him, help corner him. He has his people. I was just going there because from the history that we have together, I asked him, like, you know what, that's your last fight in UFC. Can I go with you? Because we start the whole thing together. So
right.
I'm sad. Hopefully he's, get back. I don't know. Maybe UFC is just going to let him go. So let's see. That's another story for another day.
Right. Now, the nature of his injury that got him out of the fight, to my knowledge, last I checked, yet to be disclosed. We don't know exactly why. But again, he's another guy. You talked about Henderson, same deal. Tough as it come, great competitor. If he's out, he's probably really hurt. He's not. He's not a hangnail, and he's out of the fight card. Clearly.
I guess I'm not sure. I'm gonna talk to him about, but I guess it's his knee that he have a problem before. But anyway, another guy was out.
Same card
on the main event, and that was
Jose Aldo, out of the fight now with Frankie Edgar. An interesting note too that we've talked about before: the game sportsmanship and the toughness of Frankie Edgar. Edgar's management saying he's still willing to fight on that card or the next one. Just tell me who I'm fighting, he says. I'll do it. He'll be there.
Yeah.
He walks around close to fight weight, so he can still do it. Aldo got hurt how now?
Yeah, like, sorry.
His foot.
Yeah, that's it. And my opinion is this. This is going to happen more and more and more often. Because, again, the level of the competition gets so high that you have to train on the stream. You can't just train easy just to get yourself there. No, you have to really train hard. And that is a very contact sport, and people are going to get hurt more and more often.
Right, you were saying that when you were training for fights and stuff like that, you guys didn't do extracurricular stuff where you can get hurt. Bjorn Rebney, who runs Bellator, says that those kind of activities like riding a motorcycle and things where you get hurt are going to be ruled out for fighters in the future so that they don't endanger their careers or the business of the fight game with stuff like this.
Well, example, that time that I used to stay in Big Bear training for my fights for 3 months, I love snowboarding, and I was never able to do it because I didn't want to get hurt.
Right.
And
smart
then,
choice.
You know, we got, next segment, we got Big John McCarthy interview. And guess what? We have video of him fighting.
Nobody's ever seen this before.
Never seen
He had
that
one
before.
MMA fight.
Yeah. We got one MMA fight, and we got exclusive video of him fighting. Guess this out. He's fighting Hansel Walker. Can you believe that?
Big John against Herschel Walker.
That's the brewery about the video game. Look how good shape he is.
And now,
there you go. And guess what? Guess who's the referee of that fight?
There's Big John.
That's Big John getting you pumped up.
Jimmy Lennon Jr.
There you go.
Looks like he came out of Madame Tussauds Wax Museum on the game. He
There
could be
you
a
go.
little bit more lifelike.
You know why they have, like, you know, the whole time that he was refereeing the UFC, they always ask him to do one fight. A lot of people. And he never did.
And John, as people know from the earlier part of MMA and UFC, he forged a lot of the rules based on things that happened, like fish hooking, and so he is one of the pioneers of the sport. And you want to know more about him besides jokes about him fighting in video games, then don't go anywhere. When we come back next segment, Big John McCarthy in the hot seat being interviewed right here on
My Combat Channel News.
He had to say it. You had to know.
Hi, my name's Anushka and you're watching My Combat Channel News. I'm joined by Big John McCarthy, the very first, the original UFC referee. So thank you so much for joining me and all of us here at My Combat Channel.
Thank you for having me.
So how long have you been a referee?
I've been a referee now for about 18 years. It's since about the beginning of the sport, so I've been around for a while.
And you used to be a cop, didn't you?
I did. I was on LAPD for about 22 and a half years, almost 23.
And how did the other officers feel and the department feel about you being involved in a sport that was actually illegal?
You know, when you say illegal, the sport wasn't illegal. It was,
Okay.
you know, there's a whole lot of things, and people say that there was places where, you know, they tried to make it illegal. There was places that ended up, actually New York made it illegal in their state. But, you know, the actual police officers that I worked with, they loved the sport. Most police officers around the country loved MMA, and the department really never gave me a problem for anything I did. It was, I got a work permit to be a referee, and they were okay with it, and the sport has proven itself to be a very good sport by where it's at now.
So how did you come to be involved in MMA?
I actually got my start because of the very first fight. I was friends with Rorion Gracie. I was a student of his and trained with him and his brothers. And then when the sport was actually being born, they came out with this idea, and they started calling it War of the Worlds. And eventually it was that was changed by Semaphore Entertainment Group into the Ultimate Fighting Championship. And I was at the very first one as a sparring partner for Royce. And because of the very first fight that took place, which was between Gerard Gordeau and Taylor Tooley, I was given an opportunity to be the referee, and that's how it started for me. You know what, Rorion is probably one of the actual, one of the best actual teachers as far as, especially jiu-jitsu, but the way he teaches and his ability to communicate with people is what really struck me when I first met him. And Horian has been a phenomenal proponent of jiu-jitsu here in North America. And I will tell you that, you know, there's not only myself, but I can name multitudes of people that the jiu-jitsu that he brought or his family brought, you know, to North America changed my life and changed their lives for, you know, I've lived a life that I never would have had if it wasn't for jiu-jitsu. So I owe Horian a lot, and I think he's a great guy.
So in the beginning, MMA didn't really have set rules.
No, in the beginning, if you look at the very first UFC actually started off, there was only 3 true rules or fouls, and that was you know, no eye gouging, no biting, and no groin strikes.
Right, those are the rules in my house too.
And the other thing was that it was 5-minute rounds and it was unlimited rounds. Well, after the first one, they had some people complain about, oh, if I could have done this with a knee here, a groin strike here, and they said, you know what, no problem. We're going to say there's no rounds, just fight until the end, and the only rules are no biting and no eye gouging. And so that was really how it started, and that was a great concept, but it really doesn't work in keeping everybody safe at times and the way things were done. And from that show, you know, things started changing with every show, and the rules really changed from one show to another until they, you know, had a set, you know, standard, and then the unified rules came in from MMA, and MMA has proven itself to be a very competitive but safe sport.
And how have you seen MMA and the UFC change over the years? Because, I mean, now it's, you know, it's so popular now that it really is something that is accessible to everybody, but it's come a long way. So what are the changes you've noticed? Well,
the UFC started off as it was more of a spectacle. It was an infomercial. It was an infomercial for Horian Gracie and Gracie Jiu-Jitsu at the time. Horian has spent a lot of time trying to get people to understand that his form of martial arts, Jiu-Jitsu, was very good and very effective at controlling someone and being able to take on people that were bigger, stronger, you know, had technical skills, but you could take them out of their element and put them in a position where they couldn't deal with what you were doing. And he spent a lot of time trying to get people to look at it. But here in the United States, the big thing at the time was fancy spinning back fist and roundhouse kicks and all these fancy things. And he wanted to prove, hey, you know what, you guys are looking at the wrong thing. And that's how the real idea for the UFC came up. And it was an infomercial to sell Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and it worked for him. I think, you know, when I was a student in the beginning, he probably had 75 to 100 students. The day after the UFC, he had 500 students, and the week after that, he had 1,000 students, which just went to show people were watching, they saw, and it did exactly what he wanted to do. Now, it's a sport. It's not about one style. Every competitor within the sport does the same thing. They have to know jiu-jitsu, they have to have wrestling, they have to have the stand-up skills of a boxer and a Muay Thai fighter, and those. If you don't have one of those elements, it's like a tripod that's going to fall over because you don't have one of the 3 elements. You're going to be exposed and you're going to lose. So it's a true sport now with phenomenal athletes doing phenomenal things.
Yeah.
Declaring the winner by unanimous decision, and he can throw Big John still the UFC featherweight champion of the world.
You know, my plans for the future are pretty simple. I'm going to stick with MMA. You figure out in life what's important. And having a lot of money is not really what's going to make my life complete. Being happy with what I do. If you go to work and you love your work, then life is great. And I've learned that, you know what, I am passionate about MMA. I love the sport. I love the people involved with the sport. And just being able to be a part of it is what makes me happy. And so I will stick with what I'm doing because that's what my life is about. That's where my passion is, and that's where I want to be.
My name's Anushka.
And I'm Big John McCarthy, and you're watching My Combat Channel News.
Welcome back, folks. That was a very nice interview with Big John McCarthy. Today we're gonna talk about 4 referees. John was just one of them,
Right.
and we got 3 more, and a lot of different referees, of course, on work on that field. But we're gonna bring it up.
Herb Dean,
Mario Yamazaki,
Steve Mazzagatti, and then as you mentioned from the beginning, one Big John McCarthy, who's really one of the guys who founded the rules of the sport as the others enforce. He's one of the guys who created them in the early UFCs, no fish hooking and such. So these guys are doing a job that is often thankless, right, and difficult.
very
How
difficult.
familiar with technique and training do they have to be to know what they're looking at, know when to stand them up, know how to do a restart off of the ropes if it's not in a cage? How familiar do they have to be in the disciplines to do what they do?
They need to know the sport A to Z. There's no doubt about that. Not only that, is timing is the most important to this sport, like on this job, at least. So definitely you're dealing with people's life.
Right.
If you take too long to stop a fight, that can really damage the fighter.
Right.
Or how about if you finish the fight too soon?
Right, premature stoppage, right.
Yeah.
Happens a lot in the sport. You've been around MMA and the UFC, everything longer than I have. How hard is it for a referee on a main bout, like a lot of people are waiting for this fight to happen, and he stops it too soon? How hard is it for him to shake that reputation off?
Well, I don't know exactly what's going on with them. I tell you what happened to me. So my referee one of my fights, and he stopped the fight because on the situation he stopped too soon. Okay, and that kind of damaged the beginning of my career. Lucky that the owner UFC put me against that particular fighter again, and we fought, and I was able to finish him in what? Guess.
Arm bar.
Oh my God!
I'm going to say it was an arm bar.
You're so smart.
Round 2?
No,
Round
30
1.
seconds in the first round.
30 seconds. What took
Yeah.
you so long, king of arm bar? That's great.
Yeah, that was great. I was so glad that, but again, it was because a referee mistake, and you see that on and on, like sometimes, and it's very hard decision. You have to make a decision right there on the spot, and that sometimes can go wrong.
Right. Sometimes, even if you shouldn't be, you're down for the count. And I am down for the countdown. I know you are.
Here we go.
We've got our top 10 in the light heavyweight division.
Bring it on, light
Hi, my name
heavyweight.
is Carissa, and you're watching the top 10 light heavyweight. At number 10, Forrest Griffin. At number 9, Quentin Rampage Jackson. At number 8, Ryan Bader. At number 7, Phil Davis. At number 6, Alexander Gustafsson. At number 5, Mauricio Shogun Hua. At number 4, Sugar Rashad Evans. At number 3, Lyoto Machida the Dragon. At number 2, Dan Henderson. At number 1, John Bones Jones. Hi, my name's Carissa Gary, and you just watched the top 10 light heavyweights.
You know what, Ron? That is to be on the beginning of the sport, the harder weight division.
Yeah, the light
I
heavyweights.
think, yeah, the light heavyweight. As the moment, in my opinion, every single division got equal. You know, like all the competitors level up so high that everything got equal. But used to be the light heavyweight used to be the harder weight division. There used to be a way more good fighters in that division than any other division. That's my point.
Yeah, the talent pool in the UFC deepening on a regular basis. You look at everything from Jose Aldo to George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva, John Bones Jones. Heavyweight may be the only one where you look at the champion and you think there's a chance he could be dethroned by one of the top contenders. But those other guys I named atop their division, and it's hard to imagine them losing their crown anytime soon.
At least we not follow as the same as boxing.
Right.
That used to be only about the heavyweights.
Right, and that's great. That's a great point.
It's a great point. You know,
Right,
like
the heavyweight's the ambassador to the sport in boxing. People
in
think
boxing, and it's the whole opinion that like it's bigger the guy, the bigger the fighter is, the better he is. It's not like about that. You know, like I believe the lighter guys is the one that has the best techniques.
Absolutely. The lighter guys are the ones that are pulling off arm bars on a regular basis and becoming king of those things. And we're going to be back with more My Combat Channel news tomorrow and the night after that.
There we go. Have a good night, guys, and I see you guys tomorrow.
You'll see him tomorrow. I'll be here too.